order of higher authority. Otherwise he is not spiritual. Anyone who manufactures his own process of religion, that is astrology. Dharma ki shakha bhagavad. Just like lawyer, representative of the law, means who carries the order of the supreme executive. He is lawyer. Similarly, a spiritual master means who carries the order of superior authority. We are carrying the order of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or Krishna. Krishna taught this Bhagavad Gita and he has said that anyone who will preach this confidential message of Bhagavad Gita is very dear.
We have some message in our mind regarding that Krishna, as we know, and as we are taught in history also, was a historical figure who was a king also in India. He had his business in India also. Though he was one of the highest individual or human being. So we call him Srila Prabhupada. And but we have evidence that even he had a childhood, adolescence, young age, old age, any other human being. And as believers in Saiva or Sanatana Dharma, we believe in corporeal God. God is Nirjanma, Nirakara. So Krishna was, we can start Krishna as Rama or any other deity or Devata, one who was definitely a superior Atma, no doubt about it. But Paramatman, as all other religions call, is something incorporeal. He doesn't enter into the cycle of
who says
like
incorporeal?
Life and death.
Who says?
And whose memory is still carried.
Who says incorporeal?
That is what I said. Whose memory is still carried in the form of Shivalinga. The Bharat, 12 Jyotirlings that we find in all over India, they have this memory of that. They incorporeal form, Jyotirlinga, incorporeal. Jyotirlinga, the Hindu Swarup.
That's all right. You are bringing something else besides Bhagavad Gita.
No, besides it.
Just try to understand. We are preaching this International Society for Krishna Consciousness. We are preaching.
You have to understand the relation between the two.
That's all. That we understand very nicely.
Yes.
It is not that we have to learn from you.
No.
We know it very well.
Come with my doubt.
But you should know that we are preaching Bhagavad Gita.
That is true.
So these Jyotirlinga, all these theories, they are not in the Bhagavad Gita. It may be in other literature. But we are particularly interested in preaching Bhagavad Gita. Because Bhagavad Gita is wrongly preached all over the world by nonsense commentation, we want to rectify it. Therefore our society is specially left
What is wrong?
Krishna concept.
What is wrong to preach about Gita?
Wrong, just like yesterday I went that Gita Samiti, there is a lamp. Why there is a lamp? Instead of Krishna? Why there is a lamp? Krishna is a lamp? And it is Bhagavad. You do not know, therefore I say, this is wrongly preached. Why in the place of Krishna there is a lamp? That Krishna says.
Lamp has been in the heart. For more in every mandir that you
That's all right. Chamimara Krishna is also there.
They must have done with that idea because
Our thing is that when you speak of Bhagavad Gita, it is spoken by Krishna. So why there is no Krishna photograph?
They didn't put the Krishna.
Yes.
Right.
That means you have not understood Krishna. Therefore, this so-called Gita Society is not bona fide. At least even in ordinary features, suppose if there is political meeting, you keep Gandhi's photo, Jawaharlal Nehru's photo, because they are the political leaders. You are preaching Bhagavad Gita, Gita Samiti, And there is not a single picture of Krishna.
There is a misunderstanding that Gita Jayanti is called as the main is.
Now, first of all, answer me this question, then you go to Gita Jayanti. That your Samiti is Gita Samiti and there is not a single picture of Krishna.
There it is, but
Yes.
we don't know about that.
You are not there? Oh.
Yeah. No,
There is none. I think you are present.
there is no photograph.
No.
Not even anything.
This is which guide?
I never gone there. Never been there.
This is which guide?
They are simply named the Bhavan as Gita Bhavan.
So, the Gita Bhavan, and they invited me because we are teaching Bhagavad Gita, and that was Gita Jayanti, and the speaker of Gita is no. Therefore I say that there are so many places, here also, they are wrongly representing Bhagavad Gita. So our position is to rectify that wrong propaganda of Bhagavad Gita.
So that is what is the wrong propaganda?
That is one of the instances. There are many instances, just like Dr. Radhakrishna. In the 9th chapter, there is verse, Manmana bhavamad bhakta madhyajimag namaskuru. Radhakrishna says, it is not to the person Krishna. Where he gets this nonsense idea?
So that is Vivekananda also
That they are all nonsense. Therefore I say they are all nonsense, who deviate from the original text of the Bhagavad Gita.
By declaring other interpretation as nonsense.
Yes, you cannot interpret. First of all, you cannot interpret. First of all, my proposition you cannot interpret.
By telling this gentleman that you are not interpreting correctly does not make me correct. I must be correct also to...
I am correct so long I have seen present the correct thing. So long I am.
But
if I present Krishna as it is, then I am correct.
My submission, Swamiji, most respectfully, is how to judge that I am correct.
Because I am presenting what Krishna says.
Krishna
First of all, you answer this. What is correct? The standard of correctness. You cannot create correctness. When Krishna says this, Manmana bhavamad bhakta, you just surrender unto me because my bhakta. How you can say it is not to Krishna? This is not nonsense. If I say, give me a glass of water, hear me. If I say, give me a glass of water, if you say, it is not to Swami, is that interpretation?
I do not, and again I say,
No, first of all you answer me. If I say, give me a glass of water, and you say, it is not to Swami,
almost all the propagators of religion, all the religions have said that in Kaligata. When the Christ said, Muhammad said, everybody said,
let them surrender to Christ, but why don't you surrender to Krishna?
no, that is true. But they are saying
That is true, but you do not know why.
no, you want, see, even your way of thinking and your purpose is that Lord Krishna should be the Lord of the whole universe. So we will have to also satisfy
Yes,
all
Lord Krishna is Lord Universe.
universe.
Yes,
So that is what you want to propose. In that case, you will have to satisfy everybody.
I am satisfying everybody. I am
Not
preaching
with-
that.
not with
But
that-
it is not possible that I am preaching in Europe. Christian, Mohammedans, Jews, they are surrendering to Krishna.
That's right, but
So I am doing my duty.
the one thing that I would very humbly submit that
You may not. You are not to surrender, you may bring some argument. But where I am preaching, they are surrendering.
you are doing a very wonderful work, there is no doubt about it. But the thing is, the judge and
But you do not like that wonderful
the
work.
judge and jury of what we are doing will be somebody else and not be ourselves. That is you and me.
What is, my point is that our society is clearly giving you the indication that we are preaching Krishna consciousness.
Every society has taken
So,
in view. and
that's all right.
propagated it.
If you like this Krishna philosophy, you are welcome. Otherwise you leave.
You know, that we have come here to always try
First of all, say that
You reject
you
the
are,
doubt
no, don't talk altogether. First of all, you must know what is the truth. If your standard of truth is different, and my standard of truth is different, then what is the use of talking nonsense?
No, you say the mere
If you have any other truth than Krishna, you will be satisfied.
seeking knowledge.
Seeking knowledge is sufficient. If you take, first of all, you know my position. Suppose
I understand your position, and I have in the beginning said most respectfully I beg to submit, and what my submission is that as a seeker of knowledge I come to you. Now same.
now do you know what is the process of seeking knowledge? Do you know that?
No.
No, first of all answer me. You are seeking knowledge. No, you are clear me. First of all let me know what is the process of seeking knowledge. You cannot make your own process.
No, the concepts have changed, the thinking has changed from the time you are talking
No,
about.
no. First of all you know that I am speaking from Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita says, tad vidhi pranipatena. Is it not? Tad vidhi pranipatena. You have to surrender first of all.
Surrender to whom?
Anyone who has found you are seeking knowledge.
Surrender?
You lose your identity.
Huh?
You lose your identity.
Yes. First of all you have to find out a person where you can surrender. Then you can ask and you can seek knowledge. Otherwise there is no. Simply waste your time. Why should you waste your time? Why shall I waste my time? Are you surrendered to me? If you are not surrendered to me, no, stop. Just try to understand. If you are not surrendered to me, you have no right to ask me anything.
Before one surrenders to somebody,
Yes.
he should be satisfied firstly.
Therefore, yes. So that
surrender will be a hollow surrender.
that
Will not be a-
now that
grounded
satisfaction I cannot satisfy for your whim.
It is not a whim, it is a mere common sense.
Now one thing is that I am preaching Krishna consciousness.
That is true.
If you talk on Krishna consciousness, then you can ask.
Now, even in Gita, talking of Krishna consciousness.
Yeah.
Yesterday you said in our line gathering, I remember,
Yeah.
that we have to rise above body consciousness.
Yes.
Okay? And we have to be soul
And that is in the Gita.
soul consciousness.
Yeah.
Now the idea of rising above body consciousness is to shed off the vices.
Mhm.
Kam, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Ahankar. Ahankar, nothing but Ahankar. Now that's one thing which is there in all scriptures. The Gita also says that Kam, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Ahankar must be shed. Now if we move with that pride and arrogance, and that we are the only correct people and that is the only correct path and that we have to surrender from the beginning, now that only elevates the pride in a person.
What can I do? Krishna said, if you talk too, I cannot answer. You talk with me what?
No, we have talked with reasoning.
No, don't talk too. I cannot answer with all these reasons. Either you talk or then
I
let
am
him.
talking
Then you stop. Let him talk.
So we have to share all these vices that are connected with our body. That is our purpose of getting into either bhakti or jnana, whatever it may be. But in that case, if you stop from that angle of ahankar and pride, then things would not go far. How can we go far?
So, shall I answer now? Now we stop answering. Now Krishna says, Sarva dharman parityajya mamekang saranam vraj. Aham tang sarva papebhyo mokshishyami. Even though you have got so many sinful lives, Krishna assures that if you surrender unto me, I shall give you protection from the reaction.
That is enough.
The Krishna, now you, Krishna, yes,
Surrender to Krishna. Not
Krishna.
surrender to all the people that
No.
Yeah.
Surrender to Krishna. We are saying, not surrender to me. We are saying surrender to Krishna. Therefore the same word. I am not saying that I have become Krishna, I have become God. You surrender to me. We are preaching surrender to Krishna. That is Krishna consciousness. So we are not speaking differently from Krishna. You try to understand. We are saying, suppose if I say, give me a glass of water, and if you say, oh, give, have it immediately, the same thing.
Sir, Krishna is also saying this.
Now first of all you try to understand this, that Krishna says, Sarva dharman parityajya, mam ekam, only, I am doing.
I am the only one.
Yes.
I am the only.
Again you are speaking, I am talking with him, again you are speaking. No, I cannot answer in that way. Let him talk. No, you stop me. Let him talk. Otherwise it is not possible. You put some question, he put some question, it is not possible. Now Krishna says, Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam saranam vraj. Now what do you say? He is very proud.
He perhaps is entitled to be proud because he follows that.
Huh?
He is entitled to it, and if the person has said that,
Yeah.
let him say that. That doesn't make that everybody will be his follower. That doesn't mean that.
Huh?
Maybe he has said.
That he doesn't say. He says, you follow me. Now it is your discretion to follow you or not to follow. Krishna said this to Arjuna. That does not mean everyone of the world, like Arjuna, surrender to him.
He will follow.
That is not possible. Anyone, if he says, even Krishna, God says, it is not that everyone follows that. That independency of God. But our philosophy is that Krishna says, you surrender unto me. And we are imploring, we are begging persons that you please surrender to Krishna. Now it is your discretion. Whether you surrender to Krishna or Lord Shiva, that is your discretion. But our preaching method is we are trying to preach in the world, please surrender to Krishna. That is our.
Sir, can I speak now?
Yes.
With your permission. I believe in Gita. I believe in this thing, that it is the Lord who said, Sarvadharmana paritarya mamekam sharanam braj, aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshishchami mamachate.
Yes.
And it is he who said also in 7th, 8th and 9th chapters of Gita that, Hey Arjuna, मेरा जन्म दिव्य और अलौकिक है. I do not take birth like an ordinary being, and I cannot be seen by the naked eye.
Then you find
Krishna was body incarnate.
that you mean to say that Krishna contradicts.
No, not Krishna contradicts.
Then why do you bring this question?
The Gita is, sir, if I may be permitted to continue,
Yes.
Gita Jnana itself is given by Lord incorporeal, not Krishna.
Krishna was a medium.
Krishna, his soul, at the time the Jnana was given, had a body which became the medium Virat.
Yes, that is your interpretation.
That is exactly what the
No,
word
no, you
Gita
say,
also written by Krishna.
anyone, whatever he says, he thinks like that, exactly. That is another thing. But we know that Krishna had no difference between his body and soul. He is absolute.
No, let me find
And
out.
you are talking from the point of view that Krishna's body and Krishna's soul is different.
Are two.
Yes,
In every
but that
body.
is not the fact. That is not the fact.
Sir, Krishna could not be with two
No,
hands.
no, you say could not, but we do not say like that. Now we'll settle up this thing. You say, but I do not say.
No, quite right. If you say this is not the wood,
No, we have to speak on the Bhagavad Gita. You are talking on Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says that Mam Eka. He never says that to my soul.
no, he says I am one.
Therefore, he is one, both body and soul. One. That is one.
No, you are one, you mean.
Huh?
The material aspect, the jad and
Yeah.
the Chetan are one.
Therefore, he is not material. Therefore, he has said, if you compare with him, ordinary man, then at once he becomes a mura. Apajananti mala mura. No, you say, this is the saying of Bhagavad Gita. Apajananti mala mura manasim tanuvasita. Because I have taken this human form of life, the rascals, they think I am a human being. It is said in the Bhagavad Gita.
I feel, as my reading and my understanding of this aspect is concerned, he says, when I adopt this medium through which I give this jnana, Murmati do not understand me and
Yeah.
cannot recognize
Now,
me.
Muramati, how to understand?
Cannot recognize me.
Suppose I am Muramati. So how I have to understand?
But sir, Krishna as a body form could be seen and could be recognized by people as such. So there was no question of not understanding.
Thing is that whatever I have understood about Krishna, I haven't got to learn from you.
No, you don't have to learn from me.
That's it.
But what you have understood,
I am not speaking my own views. I have got my Acharya, my teacher, Ramanujarya, Shankaracharya, Madhyacharya.
it is all right, sir.
So it is all right. It is all right. Then I have got so many authorities. What authority you have got?
I am my sense and my own senses.
Now, you are not authority.
I am not, but my own sense.
I am following so many authorities.
You may be, sir, this
But then there is no position.
I have only said.
You are yourself authority.
That doesn't mean that they belittle the other people.
Now, as if you say, my views is not correct, I may be incorrect, but I am following the predecessor. I am taking up.
What is the difference like? Sir, I accept that
Yes.
100%. You are very correct in saying what you have just said.
Yes.
I want to understand that point of view. That is why I have come.
So this is the point of understanding that I have already told in the Bhagavad Gita, that if you want to understand, first of all you have to surrender.
Surrender to whom? Not to the Acharya, but to the
First of all, find out whom to surrender, then talk.
Supreme Acharya. Who is
That's all right. If you think that you are not fit for my surrender, that's all right. But first of all, you find out somebody where you can surrender, then talk.
To Gyandata himself.
Yes, that's all right. If you surrender and if you get Gyandata, that is all right. So far we are concerned, if we do not surrender, then we simply waste our time idle talk. This is not the problem.
We have to treat people in this fashion. I think it is going to be difficult for us to seek any knowledge from.
But you are not seeking knowledge, you have come to challenge. You have come to challenge.
No. Is this there is I would like to come.
Now you are saying that Krishna says that incorporeal. But Krishna says that anyone who thinks that I am incorporeal, that he is a fool.
Quite right. Lord Krishna as such, if anybody calls him incorporeal, he is a fool.
Yes.
But because he has a body.
Yes.
He has taken birth from Devaki.
Yes.
And incorporeal does not.
Therefore,
take birth.
Krishna says that one has to understand that what is Krishna's birth. Janma karma me dibbam jo janati tattva. So that tattva is not jo. Anyone who knows Krishna actually, he becomes immediately liberated. Takta deham punarjanma naiti mameti kaunti. Anyone simply who understands Krishna, he becomes immediately liberated. If you understood Krishna correctly, then you are liberated person. You have nothing to ask for.
It is what?
No, that's all. Then you are a liberated person. You have nothing to ask from me. I am for those who are conditioned. But you are liberated. So you have nothing to ask from me. Then you are liberated, you have nothing to go. If you are liberated, then you have nothing to seek knowledge.
Final destination, final place. He's already said that.
Yes. If you are liberated, you have nothing to go anywhere. Because you know everything.
May I again submit with the honor that you have bestowed on me of having said that I am already liberated according to the version of Gita.
If you have understood Krishna, then you are liberated.
I still feel.
Then you haven't got to seek knowledge.
I still feel that there is scope for seeking knowledge.
You be satisfied with yourself. You are liberated.
That means those who are to follow you are not liberated.
I am not following. I don't say follow me. I say follow Krishna. Why don't mistake that? I say my mission is that Krishna says surrender unto me. I say you and everyone surrender unto Krishna.
That you make perhaps mentioning not that I do wish to. I am very much.
Well, that is my business. Where I am spreading or not, that is my business. But I am saying this, that Krishna says you surrender unto Krishna, surrender unto me, and I say surrender unto Krishna. Is there any difference?
And then the treatment, you see, according to our Gita and Shastra.
Is it not according to Gita? Is it not according to Gita? If I say surrender unto Krishna,
Each and every person as an individual identity is having a soul, you see, and we treat him above the body consciousness, and just we treat him as equal. There is going to be a little ice that they are
nobody, you cannot say, even though they are equal. You can be equal, but they are not equal. They are not equal. There are three gunas, and in the Bhagavad Gita that is analyzed, that these persons are in the Sattva, This person stands in Rajagun. This person stands...
Atma, but Atma is everybody.
That's why, first of all, we are...
potency to rise and go higher and higher.
You are not on the Atma stage, I am not in the Atma stage. You are in the bodily stage.
Who is body soul?
If you are in the Atma stage, then you have no argument with me. Pandita Samadarshana.
But argument is you have each other.
No, there is no argument. That will stop. Brahma Bhuta Prasanna Atma Nasu Charinata.
On arguments they come out.
Nah, if you are, let's say, this is stated in the Bhagavad Gita, the Vidya Vinaya Sampanni Brahmani Gavihastinita Sunitita Sapakita Pandita Samadhi. If you are in the spiritual platform, then you will see a learned Brahmin, a dog, a chandal, a elephant there in the same state. But there is no argument. Because he sees a dog and a learned Brahmin in the same position.
So that is the correct position.
That is correct position.
Now,
But if you find that Swamiji is not on the standard, that means you are not in the position. Samadarshana.
Even if a person commits a murder, a sinner,
yes, that is very high state.
Both are on equal.
That is very high state, Samadarshana.
No, if a person commits a murder, he is a sinful person.
So why you are seeing commits murder? Why don't you see that it is Krishna is acting there? Why you say the commit murder?
Getting the sin committed.
Samadarshana means you have no distinction what is seen and what is...
Samadarshana means to treat everyone alike.
No. Samadarshana means there is no distinction between sin and virtue. That is Samadhi.
There is no distinction.
As soon as you see this is virtue and this is sin, it is not Samadhi.
Virtue and sin become the same in Samadhi.
Yes, that is Samadhi.
In other words, the sin does not remain sin any longer.
That is another thing. But he has no vision that this is sin and this is virtue. That is Samadhi. As soon as you make distinction, you are not Samadhi.
In other interpretation, in common parlance,
you may interpret it in different. Samadarshi, this is plain word. Samadarshi means there is no difference. That's all.
Samadarshi, for Samadarshi, the sin and virtue are the same.
No, here, yes, that is Samadhi. Because here it is said clearly, Vidya Vinaya Sampanna, Brahma. A Brahma, learned and Brahma, and Vinaya, very humble. That is the sign of goodness. Vidya Vinaya Sampanne, Brahmani Gavi Hastini Sunit. Sunit means dog. Now he is saying a dog and a learned Brahmin saying. The dog is supposed to be sinful and the learned Brahman is supposed to be virtuous. Therefore his vision, the virtuous and the sinful is same. That is Samadhi.
I think that we have made many mistakes in writing of this book.
That's all. And now you are finding mistakes with bad. So who can talk with you?
No, but how could
Please excuse me. Please go out. Please go out. Don't trouble me. You are finding fault with bad.
We actually want you to be Samadarshi here.
I am not Samadarshi. I don't say I am Samadarshi. I don't say Samadarshi. You say Samadarshi. Samadarshi.
We should be Samadarshi. You should.
But I am not in that state. I say because you don't surrender to Krishna, you are sinful. That is my darshan.
But then he should be also treated as Samadarshi.
So why shall I? I am not in that position. I am not in that. I am simply repeating the words of Krishna.
Then sorry, sir. You came to learn the very given your...
I am simply teaching the teachings of Krishna. That is my point. I may be Samadarshi, I may be not Samadarshi.
But you teach that one should be Samadarshi.
Krishna says, I don't say.
You say,
yes.
Krishna says that one...
But that does not mean one has become Samadarshi.
Then
that is
the follower is not following the Guru.
No. My position is simply repeating. That's all. My position.
So we want understanding more than mere tape recorder.
Yes, you may be said. But that is my position. Because I have been authorized in that way. That anyone who preaches this confidential subject matter, he is my teacher. So I have nothing to learn what is Samadarshi. I have my position.
Blind following and open-eyed following, I said, it is all right. We can read the book, otherwise. We can read the Sanskrit translation, Hindi translation of Sanskrit.
That's all.
But that is not understanding.
Yes, that is not understanding. I understand. but I have understanding from my teacher. Just like I told you, Ramanujarya, Madhyacharya, Vishnu Swami, Lord Chaitanya, there are so many stalwart teachers. Practically the whole Hindu community.
Every successive teacher has added to the predecessor's knowledge, no? Do you believe that or not? So we agree.
First of all, let him be successor.
You are the successor of somebody.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you have to add something to their knowledge.
Yes.
And what is your contribution then? That is what we are asking for. What is Samdarshi? Have you become from Samdarshi? You are teaching others.
And my Samdarshi is that why only the Hindus shall know Krishna? The world should know.
World should know first.
Yes.
The Hindus even don't know what exactly Krishna was and what is his teaching. That is what we have come
If the Hindus refuse to know,
But
what can I do? If Hindus refuse to know, then what can I do?
Sorry, sir. I mean, we are
There is no point of challenge.
no challenge to anyone.
We are not the person who can
any study to anybody. No. This is a simple, open-hearted discussion that each other learn something. Though we are not in a condition to make things or anything.
The process,
But
the
human being
Krishna
aspires
says,
to get more and more.
Just try to approach a spiritual master. Inquire from him submissively and render him all kinds of service. The self-realized soul can impart knowledge unto you because he has seen the truth. And when you have thus learned the truth, you will know that all living beings are my parts and parcels, that they are in me and are mine. But if one is not prepared to approach the spiritual master, inquiringly, not challenging, but with inquiry and followed by submission or service, you must be prepared to act on the instructions of the spiritual master. If those two qualifications are not with you, then why approach anyone for anything? You'll simply waste his time and your own time. This is Krishna speaking about Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says you just try to approach the spiritual master. Inquire from him submissively. Render him all kinds of service. The self-realized soul can impart knowledge unto you because he has been the
There is a difference of day and night between blind following and
That is not blind following.
following.
Submissive inquiry, and then you have to be prepared to test. Just like the professor in the college, he said, you inquire from this, my dear professor, how is it? He says, it is like this. You simply do this homework. And you do it, you have to do it. Otherwise you cannot get any marks. You cannot make any advancement in the class. If you simply say, oh, why?
No.
But that is submission. That is inquiry and submission. That the master is there, and you say, all right, I accept you as my master, and I will follow your instructions. And then in the end, when you have done the work, then you can say, oh, this master, yes, he's correct. Oh, no, he's fool.
You have got hold of only one.
There's no other one.
Sloka.
It is not possible.
Every
Every sloka in Bhagavad Gita is as good as any other sloka, because it's absolute.
Let me say a few words. If submissiveness was the only lesson of Gita, then he would
Yes, the first example given by Arjuna, the perfect disciple is, now I'm confused about duty.
You don't want to learn you from
Arjuna says to Krishna, what does he say?
First question is whether you want to submit or not.
You don't want to learn you.
But answer this question. Whether you want to submit or not.
He wants to submit after understanding. He wants to submit
Teaching of Bhagavad Gita begins when Arjuna admits, when he admits that, oh yes, now I'm confused about my duty. And now I'm a soul surrendered unto you. You please instruct me.
He has not come here. 1 minute.
If you're not prepared to follow the example of Arjuna, and submit yourself. No.
Very good.
Is that a very hard one to tell? No.
When you are all tied down by something, it doesn't take you far.
No.
Come here with an open mind.
One at a time. Let me make my point. That Gita begins. The reason Gita has value is because Arjuna, he admits his ignorance. He says, now I'm confused about my duty, and I am a soul surrendered unto you. You please instruct me. That is the beginning of Bhagavad Gita. And if we want to take, or if we want to get the benefit of Gita, then we must follow the example of Arjuna, who is the perfect disciple, and Krishna is the perfect master. And the first point is you must become submissive.
That we understand now what you mean, submissiveness.
So that same thing is there if you want to learn from the spiritual master, that you come with an attitude of submission and prepared to follow the instruction. But if you think, well, if I like the instruction, I may follow. And if I don't like, I'll then let it go to hell. Then what is the use of inquiry?
No, we don't go so far.
That is not the idea.
That is the point. You want submissiveness was the only lesson that Gita wanted.
Yes, that is the only lesson. You just give up all
No,
religion.
he cannot hear anymore.
Finish the sentence.
That is the only lesson.
That is the only lesson.
That is the only example.
Krishna says, give up all forms of religiousness and just surrender unto me.
Then you would have taken in one sloka, you wouldn't have taken pains to...
Any sloka, any sloka.
Neither you can give up this sloka. You cannot give up this sloka.
No, you cannot separate one from another slokas also. No,
So, first of all you answer. See practical example. When Arjuna became confused, he said, Sishasthi ham sadimang prapanna. Now I am surrendered unto you. Please teach me. Unless you come to that point, there will be no teaching. And there is no use of teaching.
What time and what energy...
That you have to see. You have to see. You have to see your time when you are prepared to surrender. When you are prepared to surrender, as Krishna Arjuna said, that I am now confused and I surrender unto you. If you think that you are not confused, you cannot surrender, then there is no question of teaching.
Surrender is the first condition. You must surrender is the first condition.
Yes.
If no man